Hello everyone, this is Isaac White from the Crockett Tavern Museum. Now, about a month ago, my wife and I, as well as our good friend Nola Chucky Fred, were fortunate enough to go to the spring rendezvous at none other than historic Martin Station just off the Wilderness Road in the beautiful state of Virginia. If you've never been to Martin Station, I would highly encourage you go. The backdrop is absolutely gorgeous, and the fort and the cabins and shops surrounding it are immaculate. And of course, the staff are wonderful. The rangers are very knowledgeable, very friendly. So if you want to go to a place where you feel like you're stepping back in time, Martin Station is the place to be. Now, of course, I previously mentioned them little gatherings or rendezvous they have, and this one back in May is pretty special to me because I was able to snag some interviews with some of the more notable, although some of them they would say more notorious, historians, reenactors, impressionists, etc., etc. And it was quite a thrill getting to sit down, talk to, interview these people, pick their brains a little bit, and learn a little bit more of history as a whole. So, suffice it to say, this is something that was definitely a big win for me. It's something that's made quite an impact on myself, and I would like to be able to share those interviews, those moments with you, our friends and supporters. So with that being said, hopefully you'll be kind enough to follow us along for these next few videos on Friday as we listen to the voices of Martin Station. Hello everyone, this is Isaac White from the Crockett Tavern Museum, and we are here at historic Martin Station, just off the Wilderness Road. We are in the beautiful state of Virginia. As you can see, the Cumberland Mountains behind us. My God, what a sight, right?
It's absolutely beautiful. It never gets old.
No, never. And well, folks, we have a special guest here today. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, howdy everyone. My name is Drake Pledger, and I have a YouTube channel called Flintlock Operator. So I started that YouTube channel about 3.5 years ago, and just been having fun muzzle loading, running around in the woods, and learning some history along the way.
Well, sounds good to me. I think when I first came across your YouTube channel, it was before I even met you here at Martin Station last year. And it was you doing the loading and shooting on the run, which I thought was pretty neat, and I'd never seen anybody try that in real life. I've only heard about it from certain frontiersmen, and the fact that you were brave enough to try and take on that experiment was something else. So just before we dive into it, I do have to ask, how was it? Was it tedious or what?
It takes a while to learn. It took me about 3 years to learn, and that's not practicing every day necessarily, but little practicing the loading the powder into the pan, handling your equipment, being able to pull the ramrod out, draw it. You can actually practice most of that stuff in your backyard, just running it dry. But as far as the actual taking a shot with it, I know there's some concern about pouring powder directly from your horn.
Yes.
That's a risk that I'm willing to take, providing that I take some safeguards. And the biggest safeguard is that I always make sure to swab out the bore before I take another shot. And I wait. So I wait an amount of time. I swab out the bore between shots, which you don't see in the videos, which is why some people have gotten a little bit upset about me doing it. But as far the other possible danger is pouring too much powder down the barrel. But considering the ball is literally only being held in there by the fouling of the black powder itself, there's very little pressure. It's not like there's a tightly patched ball down there. And you know, I've never felt like I've poured too much powder down the barrel like it was going to be a danger. And you go to a count of like 3, and I timed it with my horn to fill up my 80 grain powder measure, and it takes about 3 to 4 seconds. So I found that if you time it right, you're not going to pour too much powder down the barrel. Now, there's going to be some people that aren't going to be willing to take that risk, but for me, that was providing that I make sure to take those safeguards. Those were some risks that I was willing to take. It was a little bit tedious learning how to do it, but once I was able to get out there and do it, basically run as fast as I can while reloading on the run, it was really satisfying.
I started to say it was very impressive. Turned out very well.
Thank you.
You know, I don't know if you do any hunting, but you know, I do a lot of deer hunting with flintlock rifles, and I've tried to reload in a hurry, and I have, in fact, spat the ball down.
Yeah.
But if I can help it, because hunting is one thing.
Yeah.
Loading and shooting on the go for the purposes of combat, that's a whole other matter entirely. So with the combat, you don't really have to be the most accurate, because if you're running, that means your enemy's close behind or you're closing upon him. So you might only be shooting about anywhere between 20 to 30 yards or so in some cases.
So I haven't done much scientific testing regarding the accuracy with an unpatched ball.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that for the targets that I have shot at with an unpatched ball, at the very least minute of man at about 40 to 50 yards.
Oh wow!
And one of the videos we recently filmed that I'll be hopefully soon editing and uploading in the next couple months is basically a course of fire of 6 steel targets in the woods that we positioned, where I start and I have my rifle loaded and it has a patched ball in it. I run to a tree, shoot from behind the tree, hit the target, and then sequentially run to different targets. And I basically never shoot from the same position or in the same way twice. And my two rules were I can never be in the open reloading my rifle. I always have to be under cover unless I'm moving. So there are some times where I reload the rifle with an unpatched ball. So it's pour the powder down the barrel. Now with this I did measure because I was doing a string of fire. So pour the powder down the barrel, put the ball down the barrel, powder in the pan, and then go. And I think the longest shot we had was maybe 40 to 45 yards and hit it no problem.
Wow! And you said this isn't something you've uploaded to your channel yet.
Correct. This is an upcoming video that we filmed on a week ago on last Saturday.
Oh, okay. So, folks, if you're not already following his channel, that should definitely give you something to look forward to, and definitely click that like and subscribe button to be sure, because he does fantastic work. Now, I have to ask, what really was the starting point, the point of fascination with history in general that just grabbed a hold of you and would not let go?
That's a fantastic question, and I love asking other people that, so I appreciate that you asked me that question.
Oh, yeah.
So, like so many people in our space, it was, Fess Parker, watching Davy Crockett, watching Daniel Boone, and that's where really things got started for me. I was homeschooled, so I was able to kind of explore my interests a little bit more. We went to a homeschool book fair, and my mom bought me my first shooting pouch kit. It had leather laces in it, and I wore that thing around forever. And it was probably more than a decade before, after I got that I finally got my own flintlock rifle. But anyways, that's kind of what started it.
Yeah.
And then I took a break during high school because that's when Lord of the Rings and Narnia was coming out. So I was into the fantasy medieval stuff. And then the big impetus for me to get started in muzzleloading and living history again was my freshman year of college. I had who was developing into a good friend. He actually ended up becoming my best man at my wedding. He was building a muzzleloader in the dorm. And he had permission to do it, and it actually ended up being in a movie.
How?
That's a story for another time. But if you haven't seen the movie Beyond the Mask, the hero's main rifle musket weapon that he uses at the beginning of the video at the beginning of the movie is that gun.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So it was showcasing everything. It's kind of a big centerpiece weapon of the movie. But anyways, he was building that rifle in the dorm, and I don't know what happened, but while I was watching him carve on the stock and inlay it with all sorts of wire and other types of wood and imitation ivory, something just caught my imagination. And I think within about 4 months, I went home on Christmas break, and I made my first hunting shirt.
Oh wow!
And then my next birthday, I got gift cards to the leather store, and I went and bought upholstery leather and made my first leggings. So within a year, I had a hunting shirt, I had leggings, and a couple years later, after I graduated and I had a job, bought my first flintlock rifle. And I actually didn't. I knew that there was a community for this, but I didn't realize how big it was and how expansive it was. I thought it was very localized to just these areas, but people come from all over the United States to attend these.
Oh, yeah, we even got a few here from Canada.
Yeah, we do. So I really ran around in the woods for almost a decade by myself in hunting shirt and leggings and a flintlock rifle, scaring people, which is always fun. And then I started the YouTube channel about 3.5 years ago. That went really well. And then I came here and I found that I was an incredibly small fish in a massive pond. And it's just been wonderful getting to have the experience to have people who've been in this hobby for decades enfold me and really guide me and really rate my kit and destroy my kit and tell me what I need to do better.
Oh man, that just rings all too true. Yeah, because I did an interview with Mr. Simeon England not too long ago, and he was actually the one who, between him and John Townsend, John was the inspiration. Simeon was the person who pointed me in the right direction.
Okay.
And but the thing of it is he was telling me what I needed for my kit and all that kind of stuff. Well, I tried to follow it as best I could, but didn't really start going to the 18th century path until 2024 when I first came here. And so now, of course, Crockett's still my bread and butter, but whether it be this time period like what you do or what I do, there's always going to be people out there who they've been in it longer, they know more. We just have to get rid of the chip on the shoulder, which we want to bow up sometimes. But we have to realize that when they do that, they're doing it with their best of intentions. So that's how slowly but surely, I've been able to kind of progress over the years, and I'm still not done. There's always more to learn. So, when I started Crockett, I was very fortunate to have Larry Brenneman, who's a good friend of mine. He was my Crockett mentor, if you will. Do you have any particular mentor who has helped you throughout these years?
So that's a really good question. Kind of a yes and a no answer here. Whenever I started, I had the book The Frontier Rifleman, and I believe the author of that is Richard LaCrosse. I believe that's his name. And I read that voraciously. And that's still to this day one of my favorite reference books because it has clipped an entire chapter of the description and the actions of riflemen and of long hunters and rangers and spies. So you get these little snippets of information, and that's kind of been one of the things that I go back to because it's got stuff about Brady's Rangers in there, the quotes about Brady's Rangers, and that's kind of the impression that I've been working to. And I'm not in it right now, but I had my face painted with red, exactly how a particular gentleman who was in Brady's Rangers described being clothed, and I tried to emulate that as much as I could today, just for today. But apart from that, Mark Baker's Pilgrim's Journey books, very influential. I got a hold of his first, the first volume in 2013. Read that voraciously. But you mentioned John, and I know he's had a YouTube channel, very successful YouTube channel for years.
Yeah, I think he said about 15 years now.
Well, back in 2011, 2012, 2013, those were my first years in college. We would watch Townsend's videos. And whenever I was living with the same friend who was building that muzzle loader, we would watch John's videos in like 2015 and 16. And then there's another YouTube channel, Self-Reliance Outfitters and the Pathfinder School. And the gentleman who runs that is named Dave Canterbury, and he's big into woodcraft and bushcraft. And I've only met him once, very briefly, at the knife show in Atlanta back in 2019. But his videos were the thing that really propelled me, and it was like online virtual mentorship essentially. And he had a particular video series called The 21st Century Long Hunter, and that combined with all the other reading I'd been doing and Mark Baker, boom! I knew where I was going.
Well, that's awesome. I had no idea you had met Dave Canterbury, for one. That's pretty neat. My first introduction to him was Dual Survival.
Okay, yeah.
So that's pretty neat, and I've always enjoyed the stuff he does. He puts out very good content, and what I love about his is that yes, it's more of a modern approach to the aspect of the long hunters that we recreate for the 18th century, but in his approach, he just makes it come across so very commonsensical.
Yes.
You know, whereas others, possibly reenactors and such, they just make it too complicated.
Yeah,
a little
for
too
sure.
confusing,
For
and
sure.
and in some cases that can be disheartening to especially the people who are just trying to get in. Which, you know as well as I do that it's getting tougher and tougher to get people to come on out to participate in stuff like this, and if we disparage folks, then we're going to see this die off.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one of the last things we want to do, because this is a wonderful, wonderful hobby first and foremost, but it teaches you a lot of important skills, self-reliance, and just life skills in general. But of course, the main thing is preserving and promoting the history for
Absolutely.
generations to
Yep.
come. And I think each and every one of us here at Martin Station could definitely agree with that. So now, you've got the YouTube channel, so you've really started to go full speed into the long hunter mindset with your research and making your own clothing and whatnot. When was it you said that you had started the YouTube channel?
I started it 3.5 years ago. So
3.5.
that was 2000, 2023 or 2024. I think it was 2023.
Don't
Yeah,
ask
early
me, I
23.
stink at head math.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, which one is it? Before we move on, I do want to go back one more point, because I don't
Sure.
want to leave people out.
Yeah.
Regarding the mentors aspect.
Yes.
Last year, whenever I came here, I was able to meet Anthony Weiniger, Simeon England, Nathan Kobuck, and I would have to say, as far as people that I actually talked to, those three would be the biggest ones. So just want to make sure that I give them due credit, that they've been tremendously helpful and very patient whenever I've messaged them and pestered them with endless questions.
Oh, yeah, and honestly, you could strain everybody out here, and you'd be hard-pressed to find three better men than what you just
Absolutely.
described.
Yep.
Which, folks, to give you a reason to continue to follow along with these series of interviews here at Martin Station, we are going to be doing a special interview with Anthony Weiniger. So that's something to look forward to. But now, at this point, where exactly are you doing all of this YouTube work at? Because in some cases I've seen you do filming, which I can tell you're doing filming here at Martin Station, but in other places you're out in these wooded areas, and then sometimes it looks like the desert or Rocky Mountains. So where are you located out of, actually?
I'm not going to dox myself, but I'll say I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay.
So it's about a 13-hour drive to come out here. It is well worth that time commitment to get out here, as we don't have this in we don't have any of this in Texas. The closest thing is the Ouachitas in southwestern Arkansas, and it's beautiful, but it's not like this.
Oh, no.
But as far as where I film, there are some videos that I do film in Texas. I try not to film too many videos in my backyard, but I mean, I do projects out there, so
Yeah.
I do some of those videos in my backyard. In fact, I have one more deer hide left over from deer season that I need to brain tan, and I've been using it as a mat to sit on in camp. But that's going to be an upcoming video. Do some in the backyard. I have a gun range about an hour north of me that I shoot at, and if it looks like I'm in the desert, it's not the desert, but compared to here, it kind of is the desert.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's the gun range. And then you mentioned Colorado. Yes, some of those are in Colorado.
Oh, okay.
2 years ago, my wife and I took a trip. It was actually a business trip for her and a fun trip for me. She had a business trip where she was busy during the day. Excuse me. She had a business trip that she was busy during the day, and we stayed in a nice hotel. She would go off and do her work thing in the day, and then on my vacation, I went up into the mountains for 4 days and just played around and explored and had fun. And then obviously there's filming here at Martin Station, but kind of my mainstay and my home base besides my own home is I have a friend who lives in central Kentucky on the border of Appalachia. The very edge of it, and he's got some hills on his property. He owns about 80 acres, and any videos that I'm shooting in the woods, any videos that I'm reloading on the run, it's his property.
Oh, wow.
So this is actually the last day of my 2026 week-long filming trip.
Oh, man.
For the whole year. So I spent 3 days at his place, spent a couple days down in Kingsport, and another one of my friends' places doing some filming there. Then came here for 3 or 4 days. So it's been a good trip.
Oh, well, it sounds like a wonderful trip, albeit probably an exhausting one. You'll probably sleep good when you get back home.
After the 13-and-a-half-hour road trip back home, I'm going to sleep very well.
So I just have to say this has been an absolute pleasure getting to film with you and everything like that, give you an interview. Now, before we go ahead and sign off, I do have to ask, is this just solely a hobby, or with the YouTube and the reenacting, or do you potentially make rifles or knives or tomahawks, something like that, that people might be interested in?
So, first of all, let me answer the first one first.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff that I make is just for myself.
Okay.
It's more. This is more than a hobby for me.
Yeah.
But making all this stuff is relaxing to me. So if I had an actual hobby in the hobby, it's making this stuff. Sewing the clothes, doing the woodwork and the metalwork. I've dabbled in blacksmithing. I basically dabble in a lot of different things, and this the hobby of living history is kind of my excuse to still have my fingers in a bunch of different pies, without feeling bad that I'm like yeah, I'm a blacksmith. I'm a seamster. I don't know whatever. I'm a leather worker. Leather working is actually probably my primary one. I've been doing that since I was 14. So everything leather that I have is mine that I've made.
And that's the thing is, because you can ask my wife when it comes to leather working. Now, I had a friend down in Texas, your home turf.
Yeah.
He made my buckskin outfit for me. But, when it comes to leather working, moccasins, simple leggings, shop bags and stuff, I love doing that.
Yeah, it's fun.
But fabric, no. I hate it. I don't really have the patience for
Yeah.
it. So unless I really need to do some sewing or making a new hunting shirt, something like that, my wife is the one I call upon for that.
Well, my wife is very supportive of me doing all this, but she draws the line at helping me sew, so it's up to me. But as far as earning money, I do earn some money off of YouTube, off of the ad revenue. It's not very much, but I am currently searching for some ways to turn this more into a full-time job, and it's probably not going to be one thing. It's going to be several things that will add up to be a whole job. So stay tuned for announcements about that.
All right. Well, Drake, it has been an absolute pleasure to interview you.
Appreciate it, Isaac. Really, thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, man. It's
Absolutely.
been great, and we've had a great weekend together.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And,
it's been fun.
well, they say time flies when you're having fun, and golly, it feels like we've been here almost no time whatsoever.
I know.
Well, folks, again, be sure to check out his YouTube channel. What is it?
Flintlock Operator.
There you go, Flintlock Operator.
If you look it up on Instagram, it's the Flintlock Operator.
There we go. So, the Flintlock Operator or Flintlock Operator. As long as you see him, you found the right spot. And with that being said, folks, we want to thank you for your continued support for the Crockett Tavern channels on Facebook and YouTube. And until our next video, this is Isaac White from Martin Station, signing off for now, saying goodbye and God bless.